Hello friends, welcome you all to another video, and today we are going to move on with the paper number 9, and today we are going to see the structure of Elizabethan theatre, that is the English Renaissance theatre. So in this lecture we are going to see that when the theatre were established in United States of Kingdom and United Kingdom, in England, especially in London. And again we are also going to think about the plays and the theatre companies of London. So let's move on that. So first I am going to give the introduction of this a 50 and 96 sketch of a rehearsal in progress on the thrust stage of the Swan. It was a typical circular Elizabethan open roof playhouse. It means that first, when actually there were no exact building of the theatre, open roof playhouses were built. And actually I have already told you in the previous lecture that actually the English drama actually started in the church, in the Easter festival or in the Christmas festival, and they're just showing it at the church in the open place, and therefore it was the open roof playhouses. But English Renaissance theatre, which is also known as the Renaissance English theatre and Elizabethan theatre, refers to theatres of England between 1562 and 1642. It means that it is almost 80 years 80 years time, and therefore this term refers to this period from 1562 to 1642. So this is the style of the plays of William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe and Ben Jonson. So let's start with the background of Elizabethan theatre. So the term English Renaissance theatre encompasses the period between 1562, following a performance of Gorboduc, the first English play using blank verse, at the Inner Temple during the Christmas season of 1561. So Gorboduc was the first play which was performed in Inner Temple, okay, in the Christmas season, as I have told you in the previous slide. And the ban on theatrical plays enacted by the English Parliament in 1642. Why there was a ban? Because the Puritan government established, the Commonwealth government established, and they thought that the plays are very vulgar and they are distracting common people from the religious activities or from the God. So therefore they have decided to close the theatre in 1642. We are going to see it in detail in paper number 4 when I am going to deal with the Elizabethan drama and Jokobian drama. So the phrase Elizabethan theatre is sometimes used improperly to mean English Renaissance theatre, although in a strict sense Elizabethan only refers to the period of Queen Elizabeth's reign. Elizabeth Queen was ascended the throne in 1558 and she was died in 1603. English Renaissance theatre may be said to encompass Elizabethan theatre from 1562 to her death, that is the 1603. And Jokobian theatre started. Who is the Jokobian, or why it is called as the Jokobian? Because after the death of Queen Elizabeth, she hasn't married with anybody, so therefore she doesn't have any legal heir. So her brother, that is the James first, became the king, and the name James in Latin became Jacob. So therefore it became a Jokobian period. Okay. So before the Commonwealth period, it is called as the Jokobian period. So Jokobian theatre from 1603 to 1625. So in the 1625 he was died, and after his death his son, that is the Charles first, ascended the throne, and therefore Char is called in Latin as a Caroline, and therefore it is as a Caroline theatre. And after his death, because he was crucified by the people, because there was a a revolt against the king, and he was persecuted in 1642. So after that the theatre were closed. So along with the economics of the profession, the character of the drama changed toward the end of the period. Under Elizabeth, the drama was a unified expression as far as social class was concerned. The court watched the same plays the commoners saw in the public playhouses. With the development of the private theatres, drama became more oriented toward the states and values of an upper class audience. By the later part of the reign of Charles I, few new plays were being written for the public theatres, which sustained themselves on the accumulated works of the previous decades. So, the first permanent English theatre, the Red Lion, opened in 1567, but it was a short-lived failure. The first successful theatre, such as the theatre, opened in 1576. So, the establishment of large and profitable public theatres was an essential enabling factor in the success of English Renaissance drama. Once they were in operation, drama could become a fixed and permanent rather than transitory phenomenon. Their construction was prompted when the Mayor and Corporation of London first banned plays in 1572 as a measure against the plague, and then formally expelled all players from the city in 1575. This prompted the construction of permanent playhouses outside the jurisdiction of London in the liberties of Holywell in Shoreditch, and later the Clink and the Newton Birds near the established entertainment district of St. George Field in rural Surrey. The theatre was constructed in Shoreditch in 1576 by James Biggs with his brother-in-law John Bryan, the owner of the unsuccessful Red Lion Playhouse, and the Newton Bird Playhouse was set up probably by Jeremy Savage sometime between 1575 and 1577. The theatre was rapidly followed by the nearby Curtain Theatre in 1577, the Rose in 1587, the Sun in 1595, the Globe in 1599, the Fortune in 1600, and the Red Bull in 1604. So, the Globe Theatre, Panorama Innerman, London, was the very important theatre because all the Shakespearean plays were performed in this Globe Theatre. So, archaeologically, excavation on the foundation of the Rose and the Globe in the late 20th century showed that all the London theatres had individual differences, but their common function necessitated a similar general plan. The public theatre were 3 stories high and built around an open space at the center, usually polygonal in plan to give an overall rounded effect. Although the Red Bull and the First Fortune were square. Okay, so some theatres were square and some theatres were round. The 3 levels of inward facing galleries, there were 3 level inward facing galleries overlooked the open center, into which jutted the stage, essentially a platform surrounded on the 3 sides by the audience. So you can just ask to Google and ask about the structure of Elizabethan theatre images, so you can get the images of that easily on your phone. The real side was restricted for the entrances and exits of the actors and sitting for the musicians. The upper level behind the stage could be used as balcony, as in Romeo and Juliet and Antony and Cleopatra, or as a position from which an actor could harangue a crowd, as in Julius Caesar. So, the playhouses were generally built with the timber and plaster. Individual theatre description give additional information about their construction, such as flint stones being used to build as swan. Theatres were also constructed to be able to hold a large number of people. A different model was developed with the Blackfriars Theatre, which came into regular use on a long-term basis in 1599. The Blackfriars was small in comparison to earlier theatres and roofed rather than other to the sky. It resembled a modern theatre in ways that its predecessor did not. Other small enclosed theatres followed, notably the Whitefriars in 1608 and the Cockpit in 1617. With the building of the Salisbury Court Theatre in 1629 near the site of the defunct Whitefriars, the London audience had 6 theatres to choose from: 3 surviving large open-air public theatres, the Globe, the Fortune, and the Red Bull, and 3 smaller enclosed private theatres, the Blackfriars, the Cockpit, and the Salisbury Court. Audience of the 1616 benefited from half century of vigorous dramatic development. The plays of Marlowe and Shakespeare and their contemporaries were still being performed on a regular basis, mostly at the public theatres, while the newest work of the newest playwright were abundant as well, mainly at the private theatres. So, hey guys, that was the thing. So, if you couldn't understand it, please ask me in the comment section. I am there to answer your questions. So, thank you for watching.